All right, I'm going to show you something you should never do. Okay? Look at this. See that? That's money on the table. My name is JP Garcia. I'm an independent contractor, and I've been an independent contractor for years now. Sorry for the cheesy intro there, but it's true. You don't want to leave money on the table, and the point of the video today is to tell you by example, by my mistake, about how you can keep more money in your pocket and bring more money into your business by just pricing your services appropriately. All right, so here's the scene. I was brand new graduate from engineering school. Okay, I graduated with a degree, a bachelor's and a master's in computer engineering. And right out of school, I had an opportunity to do a contracting job. And so I took that job and then kind of soon realized that they were paying me in a 1099 manner and not in a W-2 manner. And so then I started to do research to what that meant. And I realized, hey, I can go, as I'm working for this client and I leave at a certain time, I can go provide services to other people, other clients, other businesses in the local area. So that's what I did. I started, I started the independent contracting work in my local area. And I naively thought that, hey, I'm a new graduate. I'm not a big company. I don't have a lot of resources. I have a lot of expertise, but, I don't have a big name or anything like this. So when I would approach clients, I would pitch them a price for my services that was way under market, right? Because in my head, I thought that, okay, if I price under market, well, they're going to be more apt to purchase from me, right? And so I purchased, I was pricing at half the market, okay? That was the completely wrong thing to do. And here's how I learned that. I had another friend who was maybe a year or two ahead of me in school that it was already out, but he and I started our businesses, similar businesses at the same time, right around the same time, within months, right? And he did not have the same sort of technical background that I did. And he was charging double-ish what I was charging. And I had a few clients that were loyal to me, but he had tons of clients. And it baffled me because I thought, how does this guy have so many clients? He doesn't have the technical background that I do. He doesn't have the skills that I do, but he is essentially, he can't service his clients. He has so many, right? And so one of the main reasons why he was able to have that many clients was of his pricing, and not that he was charging more than I was, but what his pricing indicated to the market, right? And so from my vantage point, I thought if I price under the market, more people will buy my services. But what I didn't realize is that the perception in the market was, oh, this guy can only charge half of what everybody else is charging, so his services must not be as good, right? And it sounds counterintuitive, but it was the case. And to make a long story short, I saw that my buddy was pricing at a certain level, and I saw all of my competitors pricing at a certain level. So I said, hey, I'm going to price at that certain level. And once I did, guess what? Counterintuitively to my naive engineering school thinking, business started coming in because that price signaled to the market that I was on par with the rest of the competitors out there, right? And I was on par price-wise, and I was providing a higher level of technical expertise. And so then, yes, sure, now people started to come, ask for my services, and I was able to bring in more clients to my business, right? So all of that long story to tell you that as you start your journey, your business, be very, very mindful of your pricing and what that means, what that signals to your market, the market that you're trying to cater to, right? Because sometimes the pricing that you adopt will do exactly what I thought it was going to do when I was fresh out of college. That, the lower price you are, the more people buy your services. That's the way to get your foot into the market, right? But more often than not, the price to your consumers, to your customers, signals the quality of product that you provide. And if you're providing a great product, but you're pricing it the wrong way, then the market perceives that you're not as good as your competitors, just simply based on price, right? And I can't say that happens all the time, clearly, but that happens a lot more than I thought it would, right? And so first off, just be very mindful of what the price signaling is and what that means to your market, right? Because, just like that cheesy thing I did in the very beginning, you don't want to leave that money on the table, right? If your competitors are going to make that money anyway, it may as well be in your pocket, right? So, but how do you do that? Like, how do you go about figuring out what you can, how you can price, right? First, you have to understand your market conditions. What does that mean? To me, that means you have to understand, okay, how many players are in the market, who are they, and how loyal are their client bases, how much are they charging, all of those types of things, and start to understand who the giants are, who the small fish are, who are the up and comers, and where you fit in that whole equation. Because a lot of times your pricing will be determined based on, your perceived pecking order in that situation, right? So for example, you could have a larger company who has a lot of, provides services to a lot of customers, but they're kind of the low cost leader, which means that, the reason why they are, they are the largest because maybe they're a volume player and they're trying to get as many people in as possible to buy their goods or services at the lowest price possible, right? Think Walmart, right? Nothing against Walmart. We shop at Walmart, no problem. But, you can get very inexpensive stuff at Walmart, right? Everybody knows that. Versus something like a Target, which is priced a little bit more, a little bit higher in the market. But it is assumed that the stuff is a little bit better, right? So the same type of analogy applies to you as an independent contractor, right? So if the market leader is pricing low, then actually as a niche, you could price higher, right? Because you provide a more niche service. Maybe you offer services that others can't provide, whatever that looks like. But, understanding that is how, that is one part of how you can determine how much you should charge in the market, right? On the flip side, if the market leader in your area is the highest price, then okay, well there may be some room in the lower pricing tiers, right? But don't just price yourself lower just because, right? You have to have that backed up with some data that supports that, hey, the only way for me to play in this market is I have to price a little bit under the market leader, right? So, that is something that you need to study. And I probably will do a later video on this because there's a lot of nuance to that, just exploring your market conditions, okay? But that's number one. Number two, it's probably 1A of this, right? But as you're assessing your market conditions, you need to gauge the client's willingness to pay for a service, right? So that is really just doing research on, like we talked about previously, just understanding what other people are charging for their services, right? So, but a lot of times, you get a rack rate or some price for a thing, right? Like say, for example, you're selling cakes, okay? And hang on. yeah, so you're selling cakes, and you may be selling cakes for $15, right? But your competitors are selling them for $20, right? So then to me initially is okay, well, there's a willingness to pay gap of $5. Well, why are they paying more for that? So you have to dig into what services they offer versus, what type of cake they offer versus the type of cake you offer. Now, the other thing you may want to look into is, hey, they always list it at $20, but they actually give everybody a 50% off coupon, so they're really only selling at $10, right? So these are the types of things that you can start to explore of what are your customers' actual willingness to pay in that market, right? And I think that I separated it out from just your normal market conditions because this is a very specific thing. The willingness to pay, that's a really hard thing to gauge in a sense. But I think it could bring a lot of value if you knew a good bit about your clients and your customers' willingness to pay, right? So market conditions, willingness to pay, and really then it's determining if your market is more, if they're pricing more by value or pricing more like in a cost plus model, right? Value-based pricing is what I've been talking about this whole time, okay? It's really just based mostly on customers' willingness to pay. Cost plus is exactly what it sounds. So let's say, again, we're going back to the cake example. The $15 cake, maybe it costs you $10 to make that cake and you charge $15 just sight unseen. I know I'm going to charge $15 for it. So that is a stock percentage. That thing doesn't change of how much you're going to charge for each cake, right? So cost plus is a strategy. It may not be the best strategy depending on your market and depending on what goods or services you provide. But if it is your strategy and cost plus is the way that everybody prices their stuff in the market, understand what everybody's margin is, right? And make sure that you are also charging that margin, right? Because that could also be money that you're leaving on the table, right? So really that's it. We could get super, super deep into this pricing stuff. It gets really technical really quick, but I think the point is, two things to take away. Number one, really just all the points that I talked about, the knowing your market, the willingness to pay, and knowing if you're going to do cost plus versus value-based pricing. Those things are something as an independent contractor you need to review, you need to understand, and you need to have a very cogent strategy for what to do in that market. The last thing is the very first thing that I mentioned is really just, hey, if you're new or even if you're not new, just because you're not a big corporation, just because you're not a big company with a huge team, doesn't mean that you should just price yourself under the market for no reason, right? You're worth more than that. And if the market is willing to pay it, then, they're going to pay your competitor that money. They may as well be paying you that money, right? So don't sell yourself short. Believe in yourself, believe in your product, believe in your service, and price it appropriately, okay? Do some research. Make sure you are keeping all the money you can in your pocket. So look, thank you for engaging. Thank you for watching this video. Please look, if there's anything that I can answer for you, I've been on this journey for a little while now as an independent contractor. If there's any question I can answer right now, the easiest way to get to me is to hit me up in the comments. I'm still trying to stand up all of my infrastructure around the channel and how to communicate with you guys effectively. So the easiest way for you to get to me is to hit me in the comments. And also please like and subscribe. I'm going to have a lot of content coming up over the next few, the next weeks, months, etc. I'm going to try to, put out a lot of information for you, whether you're new to contracting, or you've been in the contracting game for a while and you're looking for some tips or things to enhance your business and put some more money in your pocket. I want to do that for you. So, lastly, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.